Hi there, everyone. Hope you've had a wonderful week. This week we read Parshat Devarim, which is always read the Shabbat preceding Tisha B'Av. One of the verses that you will hear read this week in our shul, is read with the trop of Eicha. And that pasuk is Eicha, Esah, Levadi, tarchachem, masachem, verivchem. That how Moshe is saying, how alone could I manage the burdens and the quarrels of the Jewish people? And the other shuls around the world don't read it with that Eicha trop, they just read it with the regular Torah trop. And while I acknowledge that might actually be a sort of a halachic debate in that may render these divergent minhagim, these differing practices, I'd like to suggest that it may also come down to how one reads the pasuk. You could see it in its greater context and say this is actually a very positive pasuk, one that would not be fitting to be read with the Eicha trop, because the context is that Moshe here is saying that when we were newly minted nation in the desert, his father-in-law came to him and said, Moshe, you can't take on the burden of being the leader and the judge of the people by yourself. You have to set up a judicial system, a system of leadership that others help you. And Moshe points out here at the time, he's like, you're right, because God has blessed us to become this numerous nation that basically I can't do this alone. And he says, you know what? Let's get people from each tribe, the best and the brightest, the most wonderful leaders we could find, the ones who are brilliant, and each one will take on their tribe, and the whole system will be set up. And actually, when you read the pasuk Eicha, Esah, Levadi, it's actually very positive. Moshe is saying, how could I do this alone? There's too many court cases, there's too many issues to come up. I can't, because God has blessed us. And perhaps that's why many shuls will read it with the regular trop. Those that read it with the Eicha trop may be understanding, or perhaps that originates from the understanding that, well, what I just said is true, that God has blessed us with so much, a lot of people, so much bracha, that we needed a whole system to be set up, a whole judicial system, in order for our society to function. How unfortunate is it that Moshe couldn't bear those burdens alone? That there were so many issues where people quarreled with each other. Tarchachem, right? The tircha, that's like, the tircha is it's like a burden. There's too many problems, too many things that are going wrong in society, too many people who are not living up to who they can be, and they're adding negativity to our society. Masachem is their burdens. The Jewish people is too many this issue and too many that issue. Verivchem, and the fighting between each other. If only we didn't quarrel with each other as much. If only we didn't have people who were struggling around society because everyone else was jumping at the opportunity to help, then I could do the job alone, Moshe is saying. But I couldn't, because that wasn't the reality. That wasn't the reality. And Yitro saw that it wasn't the reality. And that's unfortunate. And when we commemorate on Tisha B'Av the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, the understanding is that the second Beit HaMikdash, what the Gemara says the cause of it was the inability of the Jewish people to have basic decency for each other. There was sinat chinam, there was this no hatred for really no good reason. There was no real viable reason for why. And I think this is what Moshe perhaps noticed about the people. It's like, why do we have all these problems? It doesn't have to be this way. And so, Bezrat Hashem, those shuls, ours included, that read it, that this Eicha trop, hopefully we take away this message, and that Bezrat Hashem next year we'll read it with the regular trop, with the understanding that, the Jewish people, we've just become so numerous that it's impossible, but it's not because we're not doing everything that we can to ensure that the Jewish community, that the Jewish people, the world around us is as good as it can be, with all of in putting all of our kochot, all our strengths, to fixing the ills that we see around us and helping all those who need an extra hand. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.